Dante's exalted book Noctua is now able to equip arcanes with the release of the new pseudo exalted reworks. While this is most probably not one of the first abilities that might have come to your mind to massively benefit from these changes, let me tell you, Dante is now even more versatile and even more powerful. Something that was completely unneeded, as he was already one of the very best frames in the entire game.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
In this video I will walk you through how the simple fact of being able to equip arcanes on Noctua could completely reshape the way you play Dante. First, of course, if you are an avid reader and like to use his exalted Noctua as your main weapon, you will now find that you can deal way more damage by, for instance, building for massive crit chance. I used Secondary Surge combined with the Ceramic Dagger to give Noctua a nice 240% crit chance increase. Making sure I modded for heat damage, I was then able to use the damage from his Noctua to trigger the newly released Arcane Hotshot, giving me another 300% crit chance. Further modding on a potential 520% crit chance from Creeping Bullseye and Galvanized Crosshairs meant that I was able to reach a plus 1050% crit chance, which resulted in Noctua having 345% crit chance on the primary fire and 518% crit chance on the alternate fire. If you want to further crit max, you can use 5 Tau Topaz shards to end up with 1424% crit chance increase, ending up with a total of 457 and 686% crit chance on the primary and alternate fire respectively. On the Dante build, I went for as much ability strength as possible while maintaining positive stats across the board. For the arcanes, I used the earlier mentioned Hotshot and Arcane Velocity to increase the fire rate of Noctua. This build easily gave me access to some massive damage, but did require some setup before it would start to shine. Going into the mission, I would start by getting some kills with my primary weapon to accumulate the initial combo on my Ceramic Dagger. The primary I chose for this was the Tenet Glaxion, however you can choose whatever primary you like most. Once the initial combo was built up, I would use my secondary, another book, but this time the Grimoire, to trigger the Foe mod for additional power strength. I then used Madurai and slung into the ground twice to trigger an additional 40% ability strength from the Madurai Void Sling passive. This gave me a total of 330% ability strength before I went and cast Noctua. If you want, on top of this, you could use a Nidus Spectre and wait for him to tether you for an additional plus 28% multiplicative ability strength, totaling you to 422% ability strength instead of 330. This ended up being an insane amount of damage, turning enemies straight into burnt pieces of paper. Especially the alternate fire would sometimes hit for crazy damage and heat procs. However, this is not where the fun stops, as Dante's fourth ability, Wordwarden, accessed by casting his 2, 3 and then 4, will spawn a book next to you as an ally. This book will shoot based on the enemies you are shooting at yourself, and this ability has some interesting properties. If you build Noctua for Blast with a decent amount of status chance, each Blast proc that triggers will cause Noctua to shoot again, as the Blast proc going off will count as an enemy being hit. This basically creates an endless loop, turning your book into an auto fire turret. You can use this to get some very boring, read borderline exploitative builds where you only have to shoot an enemy once, after which the book will keep firing itself. Combining this with something like Secondary Enervate to build up the crit chance and deal consistent damage will result in the book becoming an orange crit auto-turret. I like running this on a Dante with Zata's Whisper, as this is a great combo with blast damage. And to initiate the turret, I can recommend a Compressa with Secondary Encumber, as Galvanized Shot on the Noctua will function properly to increase the damage. The rate at which the book will continue to fire can ramp up to 9 times per second, based on the fire rate of the gun you are dealing damage with, or by how often a blast proc goes off. To make the book fire extra fast, I would recommend any type of beam weapon. It is important to note, however, that most mods that you mod onto your Noctua will be carried over to the summoned book. However, fire rate, multi-shot and the tow mods will not carry over, which means that if you are not using the Noctua in its exalted form, there's no need to equip these. While multi-shot mods might not work on the summoned book, it is a nice stat stick for Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, giving you the dodge speed increase. And yes, this dodge speed will stack with an Amalgam Barrel Diffusion on your normal secondary, giving you 120% dodge speed in total, which I, as a movement maniac, absolutely love. Another combination which you may find interesting is that of Secondary Fortifier, which, if you target enemies with Overguard, will passively give you Overguard on every enemy hit by the book. While this is not really needed on Dante because of his Triumph ability that you can get from casting his 2, 2 and 4, in my opinion it is still a pretty neat interaction. The final and for me best new interaction that Techrot Encore introduced for Dante is the use of Secondary Encumber on his book. This basically means that you can carry around a status primer all of the time, which is ridiculous. Additionally, the status effects procced by Secondary Encumber and Wordwarden will count towards arcane impetus stacks on Dante, meaning that he can now fully utilize this arcane for the 72 additional ability strength, which is higher than Molt Augmented, stacks faster, and on top of this you get a 39% increase to ability efficiency, which can nicely offset the efficiency loss that you might have from Blind Rage if you have this on your build. It is also very hard to run out of impetus stacks, as his birds will continuously apply the slash status that keeps up the buff. Before you ask, I have tested whether the distributed books to your fellow Tenno in your squad would carry over these effects, but sadly I have to report that they will not. While the mods will be inherited for each ally that receives the book, they won't benefit from the arcane effects that you equip on your Noctua, which might be better this way, as it would be massively broken to give everyone in your squad a Secondary Encumber stat stick. While I have tested a fair couple of interactions, I might have missed some that I didn't think of, so if you have any cool ideas yourself for new interactions, please let me know in the comments. I am currently beginning to work on my tempo guide, which I will release somewhere in the near future, so stay tuned for that one. For now, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next video as well. Bye. As always, thanks to all channel members for supporting the channel. If you are looking to become a member, please find the join button below the video.